Yeah, we're live.
Hi all, for all of those tuning in. This is the first ever episode of the London Lowdown, brought to you by the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. So my name is Sean Maroney, and tonight I'm joined by weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast founder Keane Franey, and we're also joined by Joe from All for United, who is also an article writer and podcaster for the United Devils. We're going to be talking about the Chelsea and Manchester United game, which is on tomorrow. We're just going to go through the previous two fixtures for each clubs, and we're going to talk about the X1s and what we think the predicted scoreline that'll be. Guys, how are you feeling about the game tomorrow?
Well, to be honest, coming off the back of very two good results for Man United at the moment, we beat PSG during the week in a very kind of a game none of us were expecting us to get the result, and we went and bossed PSG in Paris, which was fantastic. And again, a 4-1 win against Newcastle, which was definitely a massive confidence booster. So pretty confident going into this weekend, unlike previous games this season, but ready to go and happy to be on again tonight.
Yeah, and I'd probably echo a lot of what Keane says. I think it would have been difficult to be confident about this game probably a couple of weeks ago before the international break, but like Keane said, we're coming off the back of a couple of good wins, and I think against Chelsea in the last sort of 12 months, 2 years, I think we've done all right. So I think, looking forward to the game, and I think it'll be an entertaining one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people reckon it's going to be a few goals and it's going to be very entertaining. Just kind of looking at Chelsea there the other day now, I think it could be a bit of a tighter game. Not sure if there's going to be too many goals. I have a feeling myself, and it's the first time in a while now. I'm actually confident of Chelsea, because before now, like if we had a big game in Europe during the week and we came away with good results, usually weekend games always get let down. But the fact we only kind of pulled out a 0-0 draw the other day now, and United had a good win, I'm hoping we can catch them on the hump there when they're not expecting it. So the two previous fixtures for each club, Chelsea have had a big contrast, you can say, in both games, and Ole has got United two great results, set up really well and played well in the last two games. I'm going to go to Yuki first. What do you make of each club's last two games?
Well, I suppose like you look at United's two games, and like we're on the back of like international break where the transfer window ended, and we kind of had all the controversy surrounding that. Then you had the 6-1 defeat to Tottenham, which was it kind of stung. It really did. And then we had the two games then against Newcastle and PSG. I suppose Newcastle game up until the final kind of 20 minutes, we didn't really kind of put a stamp on the game. Then the big guns still came on the pitch. Pogba, Van de Beek, and the tide kind of turned, and then we kind of were scoring goals for fun. And again, that was just more of a confidence booster, not only for the team, but for the likes of Harry Maguire as well, who got back on the score sheet that day. And that was kind of just a professional performance to get 3 points on the board. Then you look at PSG, it was a completely different performance. We absolutely, we absolutely bossed it against PSG. I thought from start to finish we were well in control of the game. So we did show that with a new formation, though we did go with the 3-5-2. As Tim kind of alluded to there in the comments, though we went for a 3-5-2, which we did kind of play against Chelsea last season, and we got to see the likes of Axel Tuanzebe, Alex Telles come into the team, and we got to see kind of Martial and Rashford play as a front two, which is something that many Manchester United fans have been calling for kind of in recent times. And to see the way we went to PSG and play the way we did and kind of control PSG the way we did in terms of keeping them at bay, and kind of we were always like, I suppose, the boss team in that game. In my opinion, I thought PSG in midfield, they were kind of toothless. Like Idrissa Gueye and Ander Herrera, we didn't kind of give them much opportunity to create. And again, you look at the likes of Tuanzebe and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who I believe probably will start this weekend. They're magnificent, especially Wan-Bissaka, who was on the bad game against Spurs, and I think that game against PSG was a massive confidence booster for him. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy at them two games for United. And then you look at Chelsea then as well, they had, a draw last weekend against Southampton. And for me, At home to Southampton, Chelsea shouldn't be drawn against them with the quality of team that they have. But it shows again. I suppose everyone at this season is still trying to hit their peak. Everyone's still kind of trying to get the full fitness because no team had a full pre-season, and Chelsea are still trying to bed in a lot of players. So I wouldn't be too hard on Chelsea, kind of with regards to it. But then they did a good win then midweek in the Champions League as well. So both teams are kind of on the up, kind of coming into this game. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how both teams approach it, and how both managers approach it, because both of them are under a bit of scrutiny at the moment.
Yeah, Joe, how do you feel about the previous fixtures for both clubs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, United have sort of gradually got there. Like Keane said, maybe the last 20 minutes, half an hour against Newcastle, they probably showed for the first time the sort of form that they were hitting sort of post-lockdown in the last season. And then against PSG, I thought that was a really, really professional performance. Yes, PSG weren't at full strength, but they still had a front three there that can hurt any team in Europe. That's probably their strongest front three. And I thought the way that United set up and dealt with them through the tactics of Ollie and both individual performances of the defenders, like Keane said, was fantastic. And Chelsea, I mean, to be fair, like Keane said, when you're winning 3-1 at home against anyone, really, you shouldn't be letting that slip. But, Chelsea have had a lot of criticism for the defence this year, as United have. But I'm yet to see a team in the league that can defend, really, to be honest. I think all the teams are struggling defensively in the league. We've obviously seen Liverpool already concede 7 against Villa this season. And if they're going to struggle defensively, and that was a team with Van Dijk in it, then any team's going to struggle. I think that for some reason, I'm trying to work out why the defence is struggling, because I don't think it's the fact that it's so much that the seasons were close together. I think it's more down to the law changes in the game, the rule changes. I think we're seeing penalties given for nothing these days, aren't we? I mean, the one that United got against Newcastle, when it went to VAR, I mean, I can understand why they gave it in the end, but I mean, that's very minimal. But if you can't make challenges like that, then I think defenders are struggling. Plus, they're defending a lot of time with their arms out of the way, which is not helping their body position and the way that they're going into tackles. So I think that's why we're seeing a few more goals at the moment. Hopefully it'll settle down as the season goes on. I'm like you, Sean. I think if you'd have asked me at the start of last weekend, I'd have said the same. I'd have thought a high-scoring game, potentially a 3-2, 3-3, something like that. But I think over the last sort of game and a half, game for you guys, game and a half for us, I think both teams have started to show that they may have found a way of shoring up their team a little bit. Obviously, Chelsea did it against Sevilla. That's impressive to obviously keep a Sevilla team out who are very good going forward, well drilled under Lopetegui. And United, obviously, I know they gave a goal away, but that was their own doing through an own goal from Martial. But in the main, I thought United defended very well against PSG, and on another day could have kept a clean sheet in that game. So, I think over the last sort of game and a bit, both teams have probably just started to learn how they can shore it up a little bit. But both teams are going to have to shore it up, because Chelsea and United, both of their strength is going forward and in attack. So if one team is off it defensively, that'll be the difference at the weekend for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's with Chelsea, it was unusual because the Palace game before the last 2-0, they seemed to find the perfect balance against Palace, where they kept the clean sheet, looked very solid at the back, but they were also dangerous going forward, scoring 4. And then they go out against Southampton and they're lethal in attack, but yet leaving 3 goals in the defence. It was catastrophic. And then you go out against Sevilla the other day, watched the whole game. Now, Sevilla, I actually underestimated them before. They're so well drilled under the new manager there. And I actually forgot the fact that they took Bayern Munich to extra time in the Super Cup as well. I hadn't thought of that. So I was frustrated after watching the 90 minutes, because they were literally, Chelsea were so good at the back again. Silva was amazing, kept a clean sheet, but literally didn't create anything at all going forward. So you had 2 tails of the tape. So against Southampton, you had them so dangerous going forward but couldn't defend. Then against Sevilla, you had them really good defending and couldn't go forward. So it's just kind of just that. And United at the back sometimes, with Maguire there, he had a bad patch, they were catastrophic. But then you go out and see other games, like the PSG game where he said he could have easily kept a clean sheet, where they're so solid in that. it's just make me think that it's not going to be a high scoring game the weekend. A lot of people think it will be, but I don't think so.
I think the way that the teams will set up will be key to whether it's a solid game. And I think I see both teams conceding goals if they play a 4 at the back. Where I think if United go with a 3 or a 5, or whatever, however you want to look at it, and same with Chelsea, then there could be goals either way. I mean, obviously we went 3 at the back against you guys in the league a couple of times. Actually, and it worked really well. But then we went 3 at the back in the FA Cup semi-final, and that was an absolute catastrophe. But I think that was more due to the fact that we made a lot of personnel changes more than the formation in that game. Yeah. But I think I'm not sure both teams are good enough defensively to play 4 at the back at the moment, which is a bit of a concern.
Yeah.
Even Jimmy Williams even said in the comments, lads, like he thinks United go back 3 tomorrow again. Like, I think it's something for United. I think in the big games, it's something that we might have to look at, because this season we've kind of showed kind of defensive frailties in defense, and you've seen the likes of Axel Tuanzebe in there. He's a player who I think would excel in the 3. Like, now, you might bring Maguire back in if he's fit tomorrow, but
I was literally just about to say, like, I know he's only had 1 game, Tuanzebe, but if he's dropped and Maguire's on tomorrow, I'd be fairly confident of Werner doing very well off of Maguire.
Sorry, carry on, Sean. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But if Tuanzebe is in there, he might have that pace to try and keep him in him. But I think I don't think Maguire should be starting tomorrow. I think it's very, very dodgy decision if he does.
Yeah, I think the problem for United with that, though, I completely get what you're saying. Obviously, with Tuanzebe, he has to start tomorrow. He deserves to start. But let's not forget that was his first game in 10 months, I think. So obviously, United will have to just make sure that he's holding up all right. He's good to play 2 games in 3 or 4 days. That will be the only thing. But even if Maguire plays, I still think they could do with playing 3 at the back, because that can provide extra cover for Maguire as well. There's no reason why Maguire can't play in a 3. I think his best performances for club and country have come probably in a back 3. So I think he could come in, but it shouldn't be at the expense of Tuanzebe, as long as Tuanzebe is feeling okay. And I think that's United's best formation for them to sort of counter-attack. And to be honest with you, I only see Chelsea coming and having a go. I don't see Chelsea coming and sort of inviting United on and trying to get up shop. They don't really know how to play that way. So, if United are going to nullify that and counter it, then that's the best formation to use, I think, for them.
Yeah, and I suppose actually Maguire would offer a bit of a threat off set pieces as well. They mightn't have if he's not in there. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so just talking on about how the teams are going to set up and everything, and how we think the game could fold out. Both Lampard and Ole have both come into question this season so far, and how the teams have started. United at the very start, with the loss at home to Crystal Palace, and then the thumping from Spurs, and then Lampard mostly on these kind of team selections the last while and playing Mount on the wing and stuff. Joe, how do you judge the start of their seasons, both managers? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? And they've both had different summers, haven't they? In terms of, obviously, Lampard was backed brilliantly by Chelsea and massively by Chelsea. But with that comes a bit of a cost that you have a lot of players that you need to gel, and obviously, they need to settle together. There were signs, like you said, against Southampton, where that looked like things were coming together. Obviously, Werner got his first couple of goals, Havertz scored, and there's no doubt about it. If Frank can start getting a tune out of these new signings, he's got potentially one of the best left backs in the country, if not the world, in Chilwell. He's got some of the best attackers in the world in terms of Werner and Havertz, but he's got to find a way of putting all these pieces together and making a team out of them. And that's where he struggled early on. But I think any manager would. That's a lot of players to bring in the summer and try and gel into a team straight away. And for Ollie, his challenge has been slightly different in terms of he was probably more disappointed in the window. And because we haven't been able to strengthen, he's probably sort of starting on the back foot in terms of he would have had a plan at the end of last season. If I get this player, that player, this player, we're going to set up like this. This is the way we're going to play. He expected to get those players. They didn't come through the door. And now he's almost having to rethink with the players and the squad that he's got. But at the same time, he's got the advantage of he hasn't got to gel too many players because obviously he knows what the players that he's got and what they can do. So, but I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think both managers are under real pressure. And I said at the start of the season, Frank, for me, is one of those where, if he doesn't get this Chelsea's team playing well in the first few months, he will come under pressure because we know what Chelsea are like. They will change managers. And because it's Frank Lampard, I don't think that will make any difference either. I still don't think they'll be frightened to make a change. And I think because of the way Ollie started and losing the first couple of home games, even though we played well in our last couple of games, I still think Ollie's only a loss away or a couple of losses away in this busy period now from being right under pressure again. And it could be interesting to see which one of them makes a change first. I've got a funny feeling that both of these teams won't end the season with the manager that they've got right now.
You mightn't be too far wrong with that. Keane, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, look, I suppose I've made it very clear kind of in the last kind of couple of weeks and months that Manchester United, I feel, will make Ollie the scapegoat for their shortcomings in terms of the transfer window and in terms of like the way our season has gone. Like, look, it's no secret that Manchester United did not back Solskjaer in the transfer window. They didn't. Now people will talk about Van de Beek. I don't like. He's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think Ollie wanted him. To be quite honest, I think that resonates in the game time that he's getting. You look at Jadon Sancho. He was his main target. Didn't get him. Didn't get a centre back. And we got like a few young players. We got Telles in. I think Telles has been a fantastic signing. Like, I think ultimately with Ollie, I love the man. Like, I want him to do so well at the club because what he's done for the club, you can tell he loves the club. And he's someone like he's the first manager post Sir Alex Ferguson who I feel like I can gravitate to in terms of actually have kind of love and respect for the manager. Like with other managers like Moyes, Mourinho, Van Gaal, I didn't have that kind of, I suppose, connection because they weren't Manchester United men. They were almost like, people coming in to try, I suppose, tear apart the kind of values and norms of the club. And to see like the way that the board are treating Ollie, like it really rubs me up the wrong way because he's someone who wants best for the club. Like, you look at other managers like Jose Mourinho, we'll just take him for example. When he was at Man United, it was all about Mourinho. Every time he went into a press conference, especially after that Sevilla game, the Champions League, he was talking about football heritage and all this, and he was talking about how many trophies he's won and all this. And for me, to see a manager come in Solskjaer who wants to bring us forward, who wants us to win trophies and wants us to be the best club in England again, and then you see kind of, I suppose, the signings he got last summer, and it showed kind of the direction he wanted to take us in, like traditionally what Manchester United were all about in the past. And to see then this summer then rinse and repeat happen as soon as we get Champions League football, it really showed me that these owners, this board just don't give a shit. Like, and it's just going to be like that until the day they walk out the door, whenever that day may be. Ultimately, I think if results start going south again, Ollie will be made redundant, and that's ultimately what's going to happen. He's going to be made the scapegoat for ultimately the board and the owners' failures. Like, that's ultimately what's going to happen. In terms of Frank Lampard, I think, look, we all know what Roman Abramovich is. He's a ruthless individual. Like, he's very ruthless, and he's someone who demands success at every level. And you look, like, people say he's a club legend and he'll get time, but I look at Roberto Di Matteo. He was also a club legend. He also won a Champions League and an FA Cup. 6 months later, he was out the door when results started going south. You look at the significant investments that Abramovich is after pumping in this summer. If Chelsea don't get Champions League football this season, I believe Lampard will be sacked at the end of the season. I think if they got a 5th place finish and didn't get Champions League, especially with the current financial climate that we're in at the moment, like do we know fans are going to come back into the stadium in terms of like losses that Chelsea may potentially have next year in terms of the financial climate of the club? I don't see Lampard like staying on if they don't get Champions League football at a minimum. I think if he gets Champions League, Abramovich should keep links. They want to build for a title challenge next year, but if they don't get Champions League this year, it could be very grim for Lampard. He could be under serious pressure.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. If he came outside the top 4, that was the very minimum he has to do this year. He'll definitely be gone. But I think kind of the target maybe would have been for him. Like, I think Abramovich and that would have been realistic this year with all the players they brought in. They know they're not going to gel straight away. I've been thinking they might want at least a third place finish and maybe a run in the Champions League, run in one of the domestic cups. That's what I was thinking this year. What you were touching on there with Ole having love for the club and that's I think it's the exact same thing with both, with him and Lampard. I think the two of them would actually put the clubs before their own careers. That's how they feel about each of the clubs they're at. Like, they could actually damage their own careers, but put clubs on the right track and stuff. But I think why I'm seeing Ole going before Lampard is I find that there's a lot of talk. It's a lot of talk of Poch and United. It's always there. It's never going to go away. I just feel Ole always has Poch over his shoulder. I don't ever hear anyone like Chelsea looking at for Lampard and stuff. It's just the ghost of Poch hanging over Ole's shoulder the whole time. He's just one or two results away from like Joe said, getting the sack there or being under a lot of pressure, a lot of scrutiny in that with one or two losses. I think Lampard is going to be given the year and see where he can finish and see what he can do next year. But Ole just has that one man behind him the whole time, and the rumour never goes away. So, like Poch, I think Poch could actually, he's a class manager. He could have taken a lot of jobs around Europe already. Hasn't taken any so far. I think he could be sitting and waiting for one job, and I think that one job could be United. And that's why I think Ole could be under a lot more pressure this year than Lampard is. I think Lampard, a lot of people say he gets an easier ride from the media, which probably does. He's a bit more of a media darling. He gets away with a lot more than Ole would in that. But I just think Ole is going to find himself under a lot more pressure this year than Lampard, and I don't think Ole will last the full year if there's one or two more results like the Spurs one now. If it goes south like that, I think he'll have Poch there to come in.
Yeah, that's no slant on Frank either. That's just because of who he's manager of. No disrespect to Chelsea, but it's Manchester United manager more than any other manager will always be scrutinised. It doesn't matter that it's Ole. It doesn't matter who. Obviously, Jose Mourinho is probably the most decorated manager they've had apart from Alex Ferguson, and he got the same amount of media criticism, if not more, because of the expectation. Obviously, when he came. And
that football required, to have to throw that in there. That football under Mourinho is absolute tripe.
Oh, yeah,
no matter what rival fans are saying, right? There's certain rival fans, Joe, right, who support certain clubs. Not going to name them because I'm not going to give them the airtime, right? But there's fans of certain clubs who are saying you've won trophies under Mourinho, right? These are Mourinho darlings, right? Do you know who are either non-United supporters or they're just Jose Mourinho supporters. Yes, we did it. We won Europa League under Mourinho. Yes, we won a Carabao Cup or EFL Cup or whatever sponsor it has, right? But like the football was so bad that I that man, he's just I just wouldn't associate him with our club.
Don't forget the penalty shield, Keane.
He won a treble, didn't he? He had three trophies. Like what a shame! Seriously.
No, I think you're absolutely spot on, Sean. Let's not make any bones about it. Since Woodward got this job, what was it, back in 2013, his dream has been Maurizio Pochettino. It has been. You know, he's the manager that he's wanted to work with. And yes, they'll claim that, well, Jose was his dream, and then obviously, but no, Pochettino has always been the dream. And the only hope for United fans, and this is the only hope for United fans, is that if Pochettino did get the job one day, that actually he would be the manager that Woodward would back. Okay, there's a lot of theory out there that he didn't back Mourinho because he'd lost faith in Mourinho. He's probably, a lot of people are saying he hasn't backed Ole because Ole's not the manager for him. It is so frustrating because Ole, like Keane said earlier, proved last season that he's got an eye for a player. He knows exactly the type of player that United need. And actually, one of the other reasons he wasn't back this summer is because over the last 6 years, United have wasted stupid money on stupid players under stupid managers. And it's just a shame that they have got a manager that's got an eye for a player now and actually knows what the club wants. The money's not there anymore to be able to back him, or maybe the will's not there to back him. So that would be my only hope if Pochettino come in. Maybe we would see the club try and spend a bit more because actually they'll have the man that they've always wanted. But if they don't back Pochettino, if he ever got the job, then they'll never back anybody until, like he said, they're out the door.
I'm actually thinking, though, would the board see an opportunity with what he done with Spurs with so little money? Would they see him as like the manager to come in and be able to train the squad, improve the players without having to spend too much money.
Well, yeah, that's a good theory as well, because obviously they have signed some young players as well in the last couple of windows. Obviously, we saw Dan James come in last year. We saw this summer, we saw them bring Pellistri in, and obviously Diallo will be coming in January. You wonder if these are signings that have been earmarked by Pochettino, because especially Pellistri, obviously being Uruguayan, South American influence there. Bruno Fernandez, whenever I see him, he looks... I hate to say it because Ollie likes him and Ollie's done well with him, but he definitely looks a Pochettino kind of player as well. I don't know. You never know what's going on in football. I think we're naive to think that United aren't in contact with Pochettino and keeping him in the loop. But yeah, and let's be honest with you, his track record at developing the young players at Tottenham was really good. Look what he did with Dele Alli. Look what he did with the likes of Kieran Trippier.
Harry Winks,
maybe. I think was quite young when he came at Tottenham. Yeah, Harry Kane. Harry Kane was already in the team, but he went on to another level under Pochettino. So, yeah, that they might be looking at. We're quite lucky at the moment in terms of our academy seems to be thriving. We've already got a couple of academy products in that first team squad, and there's more ready to come as well. Tendon Mendy looks like another one to come in hopefully soon. Ethan Laird's been doing well. So the academy's that probably in the best shape it's been in for quite a lot of years. So, yeah, they may want to look at a manager who has got a good track record of developing youth, and whether you like him or not, that's Pochettino.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Just when you're on about their players coming through, like you're on with Kane was kind of coming through when he was... Kane didn't come through till like 22 or 23, I think, didn't he? He's out on a few loans, came in then and went to another level. When I look at the goalkeeper situations with both clubs, with United now, I'm looking at Dean Henderson, right? He's been out on loan for a few years. What age is Dean Henderson now? About 22, is he?
23, yeah.
23. Like, I personally, I know like it's hard to drop De Gea with the wages he's on and that stuff, and I know he supposedly had a good performance against PSG during the week, but if it was for me, Henderson would be in goal all day long this season. Like, I think he's actually a great keeper, like such a good goalkeeper. I'd have him in over De Gea this year starting. De Gea, I know he had good forms during the week, but he's been fairly shaky the last year, 18 months. Like, not down to Kepa's level, but has that mistake in him. Like, even one or two a game, like you just don't know. He could cost you a lot of points. Out of Henderson, I think he's a great goalkeeper. I've had to endure a year, if not more, because of lockdown and that delaying the season of fucking Kepa in goal for Chelsea. It's been absolutely horrible. But now, after watching 4 or 5 games with Mendy there, it's the first time in over a year that I've been able to watch matches and not have my heart up my mouth.
Hey, checks now your emergency goalkeeper. I've seen that 39 years back in action.
Do you reckon Czech might be actually number 2 now? I don't know. He might actually be the number 2.
Yeah, you never know. Cause the funny thing is, he's actually still younger than Caballero.
Yeah, weird.
Czech. I seen the video of Czech training yesterday. He's still looking fit enough as well. So doubt he's going to play more than one game this season. But if we have the title sewn up, the last 2 or 3 games, I wouldn't mind throwing in getting the Premier League medal. Leave Czech, get another Premier League medal at 38 and retire. But yeah, no, I think Chelsea are in safe hands now with Mendy there. It's just not even the fact of his shot stopping, like he's heightened that. It's just any set pieces, corners and that. He's just so good at coming out and catching, something that Kepa was really weak at. And it's at the calm me a lot watching Chelsea playing with him there and Thiago Silva directing the back line. It's a lot better, and hopefully they can stay injury free for the year and we'll see him play a good bit. Keane, what would your opinion be on like De Gea and Henderson and Chelsea's goalkeeper situation?
So I suppose I'll come to Chelsea's goalkeeping situation first. Look, I think in the last kind of 12 months, like Kepa's transfer fee was massive, and had massive pressure on him, and like he's still a young goalkeeper, and there's still a lot of development there in him. I think David De Gea came to the Premier League kind of at a similar age, and he had kind of a shaky time as well. Let's not forget his first 12 to 18 months at Manchester United were horrible. Like Anders Lindegaard was getting in ahead of him, and there was question marks over him. Then De Gea built himself up, and became the goalkeeper he did become for United. But I think with Kepa, I know. I think the jury's still out on him. I don't know if he's going to develop into kind of the world class goalkeeper that we all thought he was going to be. He's over in Spain. He was very good, but I think here now in the English league, though, the physicality of the league, the speed of the game, it's a lot quicker than the Spanish game. Like I think that's really affected him. Edward Mendy. Joe, I think he's been very good. Like the couple of games he's come in, he's shown that he's kind of he's a good shot stopper. He can play from the back. Do you know what I mean? So he's kind of shown them qualities in the couple of games for Chelsea recently that though he can be their potentially number one. That's not if Petr Cech doesn't roll back the years. You know what I mean? That's if he doesn't roll back the years and he gets into the team. With Man United's goalkeeping situation, look, I've been vocal on this podcast. I've been vocal on All for United. I've been vocal on Adam's channel that I think this season was the time for Dean Henderson to come in, because I thought David De Gea's time is up really at the top level, which I think that's still very may be the case. But in the last 2 games, I can't fault David De Gea. He pulled off a very good save against Newcastle. In previous games, he wouldn't have pulled that off. He would have spilled that into the goal. Against PSG, he was magnificent. He pulled off a lot of great saves. It was nearly almost David De Gea 2018-esque. Do you know what I mean? I had that confidence about him again. Every time he made a save, he came for a corner. He seemed to have that aura and that presence about him that we haven't seen in quite some time. So to see that kind of out of De Gea again in the last 2 games, it's kind of it's made it very positive. And I think with De Gea at the moment, the fact he actually has a number 2 there who will challenge him, I think that's going to raise his game, because Sergio Romero, right, fantastic server for the club, right? I think what the club are doing to him at the moment is disgusting, okay, in terms of not being left go when, look, he's third choice goalkeeper and he's clearly not going to play any games. But for the 5 years that Sergio Romero's at the club, not once was he banging down on any manager's door when David De Gea was still playing shocking and like banging down the door demanding the thing. He seemed to be happy to kind of play the number 2 role at the club. But the fact David De Gea is a goalkeeper, and Dean Henderson, who is first team quality, who was an England international, and is not shy about going to the manager's door and say, look, he's not pulling his weight now. I think I should be number 1. The fact that David De Gea has a goalkeeper like that with that presence there, I think that's only going to benefit him. And I think we see that now over the next couple of games. Like competition for places is always what you need. Like you always need competition for places, no matter what position, whether it's goalkeeping, where it's centre halves, where it's centre midfield, up front, you name it. Like you always need competition for places, and with competition for places, you need competent players there who are going to push the first 11 to obviously keep on their toes and obviously keep producing form. I think with David De Gea now, he knows, look, Romero wasn't a threat really, but this goal, Dean Henderson is a threat. So if David De Gea can keep up this form and show that the form that when he was the best goalkeeper in the world, by all means keep him in there. But again, if he starts all I say is he's probably one mistake. I'll be honest, he's probably only one mistake out of the team. Like let's be honest, like at the end of last season, Ollie probably didn't trust Romero enough to put him in for them kind of crucial games, because like any game Romero's played has been a cup game when we've kind of been kind of the favourite team. He kind of never played a team that won the top team, so like a Liverpool or a City or someone like that. It's always been De Gea in goal. So Ollie probably didn't have the trust in him in the Europa League semi-final or in the FA Cup semi-final when Romero didn't play them games. So I believe, look, yes, long-term Dean Henderson is United's number 1. I think that's a given. The next 2 seasons, 18 months, we're going to see Dean Henderson as Man United's number 1. But I think for the time being, while De Gea is producing, absolutely keep him in there.
Yeah. We should keep his value there as well. If he's playing well like this, Joe, what's your opinion on the goalkeeper situations of the both clubs?
Well, to be fair, I think Keane's absolutely hit nail on the head. I haven't really got a lot more to add to that. I agree. I think that for the first time, De Gea is now challenged for the number 1 spot. I agree with Keane. As good as Sergio Romero was as a number 2, he was never ever going to be threatening De Gea to take that number 1 jersey on a consistent basis. So I think David De Gea definitely got into a comfort zone a little bit, and that might explain some of his form. I think both teams have got an issue with their goalkeepers for different reasons. I think, obviously Edward Mendy's had an encouraging start to his career at Chelsea, but if he was to have a couple of mistakes, then obviously Chelsea's issues there would be the performances of the goalkeepers. Obviously, we know Kepa's been a bit unreliable. I think Pepper's struggling with the price tag. I mean, he was a huge price. What is 60, 70 million, wasn't it, when he came so young?
72, yeah.
Yeah,
72 million.
and it's a bit like De Gea. I mean, I remember, I think that was a lot of issues that De Gea had when he came. I mean, we only paid to him like 19 million, I think, for De Gea, but I think he was 19 years old at the time, was he? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but
he was around 19, 20, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of money, even back when he first came, to pay for a 19-year-old goalkeeper to bring him from Spain to the Premier League. And that weighed heavy on him. And like Keane rightly said, the first year he struggled. First year 18 months he struggled. And that's probably a question to you, Sean, in a bit about whether you think Kepa's had enough time. But what I mean about the difficult with the keepers for different reasons is, like Keane said, Dean Henderson's not someone who's going to sit on the bench now and be quiet. If he sees De Gea making mistakes, he's going to want to get in this team. And it's going to become a real problem for Ollie if, like Keane says, De Gea makes a mistake or a couple of mistakes, takes him out of the team, brings Henderson in, and then Henderson doesn't quite hit the ground running either. What does he do then? Because actually, maybe bring Nathan Bishop in, or maybe see if Edwin van der Sar's ready to come out of the title, seeing as that's the dumb thing these days. But no, I just think Ollie's going to have you. That's one position you don't want to be flip-flopping, really. You don't want to be your goalkeeper. You want to have your number one, especially in your league games, Champions League. You want to know who your number one is. And if Dave makes a couple of mistakes in the coming weeks, Henderson gets his chance and he does something similar, I think it's going to become a real headache for Solskjaer. And that's always been my biggest fear with having two keepers that quality. As for Chelsea, look, if you rate him that much, Sean, I'm wondering why you were splashing the cash this summer. You didn't look at Dean Henderson. I don't know whether you might have been able to pick him up for 40, 50 million. I don't know how much United would have wanted. I mean, I think if United had got a big bid for Henderson this year from someone like Chelsea or PSG, they may have been tempted to take it just so they didn't have this headache of having someone like him at the club, if you know what I mean. But they were probably wanting a price that no club was willing to pay this summer on a goalkeeper, which is understandable with obviously the current situation we're in. So, they feel like, actually, we've got to keep him here because he doesn't want to go on another loan. So, but yeah, I mean, long term, Dean Henderson will be United's number one, but he's probably, if De Gea keeps playing well, he's going to have to wait a season or two. So it will be interesting to see if Dave has a brilliant season this year and Henderson's no close to number one come the end of this season. It'll be interesting to see what United do next summer, whether they will look to move one of those guys on or whether they will try and gamble again and go with two quality keepers. I don't always think it looks brilliant on paper to have two keepers as good as that, but I think it can become a problem in a way as well. But I think with Chelsea, I think I'm going to put the question to you, Sean. I mean, do you think Kepa's had enough time? I mean, obviously you're a Chelsea fan, you've watched more Chelsea games than us. Keane made a brilliant point when he said, obviously, De Gea struggled, and he seems to struggle in the same areas as what Kepa's struggling in terms of physicality and commanding his area and saving shots that you'd expect him to save. But obviously, we saw Dave get there in the end. Do you think that could be the case with Kepa if you stuck with him for another season, say?
No, I for the first coming in, like after lockdown, I had that thought like maybe the same situation as De Gea, like you said, but no, I'm decided to completely losing faith, and now I think his attitude isn't as good as De Gea's. There's the Athletic now have reported before they're very reliable with Chelsea stuff like that. When Lampard or Cech kind of put it to Kepa in training about something that he can improve on, I heard he hasn't been that happy with it. So I'm just not sure whether he has that the attitude and the drive to improve the areas that he needs to improve in England. I think next summer will be a better market for goalkeepers. This summer was just a write-off. Either kind of go on loan if you're a big keeper or stay at the club you're with. I think Kepa is going to be gone back to Spain. Cut price deal, obviously, they're not going to get 70 million from him. But I think he's going to go back to Spain, and when he goes over there, he'll be very good again. There's nothing, you'll see a lot of Chelsea fans will probably pop up and say, oh, we shouldn't have let him go and he's coming good. But, there was no guarantee he's ever going to come good in England. So I think he's better off kind of back in Spain where he's a bit more protected. And there's not as many set pieces or balls delivered into the box for your big strikers, like your Chris Woods.
Yeah, it's interesting you said there about his training because I've also heard things like disciplinary as well. Obviously, we saw, was it the FA Cup game or the Carling Cup?
Yeah.
When he But then I've also heard stories. He's one of these who his timekeeping's not great for training. He's turned up late, things like that. I just think, we're all having that with our clubs at the moment. We're being reportedly United are having it with Greenwood as well. So I think it's just a young player thing. But I think it's, it's frustrating because you just think these young players have got so much talent, so much ability. Kepa's obviously, the potential must have been massive for Chelsea to pay 72 million for him. It's such a shame when they don't really fulfill that potential just because, they're lazy in training or they don't turn up on time. I mean, why waste what you've got? Unbelievable. It's such a shame.
Yeah, it could make a good career out of it.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the fun part of the show. It's the combined 11s. So Joe, I'll come to you first. Your combined Chelsea and United 11. Hit it.
Yeah, well, just come to me first. We heard Keane's off camera, mate, and we don't need to hear it again, do we, mate? No. So I'm gonna go because I'm gonna go with what I want United to go with. So I know it's not a whole United team, but I'm gonna go with a back three, sort of back five. So I'm gonna stick De Gea in goal. I think obviously Mendy's been encouraging since he's come in, but I think obviously De Gea's track record, I think he just gets the edge for me. Wan-Bissaka at right wing back, definitely. I'd play Tuanzebe again if he's holding up all right. I like the idea in a three of someone like Thiago Silva, obviously impressive in midweek. I think he could play that middle of a three quite well. And then the other side of him, I'm going to be a bit left wing here. I'd probably go Luke Shaw because I think Luke Shaw, when he's played at a left centre-back position for United, has been really impressive. I think his best performances for United in the last year, 18 months, is when he's actually played in a back three. My theory on that is because it's less running up and down. I mean, we know he's got fitness issues, and I don't think he's the fittest. And I think when he plays left centre back, although he does get forward from that position from time to time, he's not required to as much as if he was playing left back or left wing back. Left wing back, it's tough because I think Alex Telles is perfect for left wing back, but we just haven't probably seen enough of him in the Premier League yet to sort of give him that in a game like this. So I'd probably go Chilwell, to be fair, just because he's good at that. His strength's probably going forward as well, which is what you need when you're a sort of left wing back. So yeah, my midfield, I'd go Kante is definitely one of the sort of defensive options. And then I'd probably have Bruno in there as well. And then I would probably have... Sorry, I'm just trying to count how many players I've used there. I'd get Havertz into that midfield as well. I just think I thought he was Chelsea's best buy this summer. I mean, Werner for a bargain, definitely 50 million for a quality striker like Werner, but Havertz is a player with potential here, and he could be a star. He's a generational talent. So, I go Havertz. And then I've got a front two. I mean, I think my front two, I have to play Werner. I think his goals against Southampton showed that he will make it in the Premier League. He'll be fine. He'll get his fair share of goals. I think Werner, and then, Martial can't play because obviously he's suspended. So I'd probably go Rashford. Yeah, I think obviously that would be quite a pacey front two as well, wouldn't it? So I think, I'd go there. And obviously when you're playing a five, you need pace in your team to execute the counter attack as well. So that'd probably be, that'd be my team.
Keane, what would your controversial pick be now?
Right, so I've actually had to change that now since Joe actually went with a player being suspended. My striker is gone, so Martial's out of my team, lads, if you just must know. So in goal, David De Gea, again, look, as Joe rightly mentioned, Mendy's been very good in the last kind of couple of weeks since he's come in, and look, he's done very well for Chelsea. But if you're going off form in the last couple of games, David De Gea gets in there for me. I'm going with a 4-3-3. So I'm going with 4 at the back. So I'm going with Wan-Bissaka at right back. It was pretty close for me between him and Reece James. I think Reece James is a fantastic right back, and he's shown great potential in that right back role. I think he in an attacking sense, I think he can challenge Trent Alexander-Arnold for the best attacking right back in England. I know Sean had a little smirk on the face when I said that there, but absolutely, I think he's a fantastic player. But again, for me, playing a back four, I need Wan-Bissaka in here for his defensive qualities. I think, again, he showed the other night against PSG, he pocketed Mbappe, and not many players can do that. honest to God, like he and Neymar as well, like, you know, they couldn't get past him, and he's a player, like, on his day, Wan-Bissaka, like, he's just unbeatable. Like, Raheem Sterling, I think, is still having nightmares about coming up against him. Like, do you know what I mean? I think he's still having nightmares in his sleep, with regards to coming up against Wan-Bissaka. I've went with my two centre backs. I've gone with a nice blend of youth and experience. So my experienced player is Thiago Silva. He's the captain in this team. A centre back again, decorated career with PSG. He's done fantastic centre back for them. And look, he's coming to Chelsea. Had a shaky start against West Brom, but he showed now in the last couple of games he's starting to adjust to English football. He's adjusting to Lampard's formation, and again against Sevilla the other night, very kind of commanding performance. So he's in there for me. At the other centre back, I have Axel Tuanzebe in there. I've been very vocal on this channel. I've been very vocal on All for United in the last couple of weeks that he's someone who I think is going to be Man United's number one centre back. And he showed the other night against PSG just how good he is, and the sky's the limit for him. Harry Maguire doesn't make this team. Look, he's an £80 million centre back. He's United's captain. Well, I don't think he should be, but that's another chat for another day. But again, he doesn't make this team. Tuanzebe and I think Silva would provide that kind of good blend of youth and experience, where Silva does great reading the game. He lacks pace. Tuanzebe mopping up for him, lads. Like, you know, he'd do that all day long, twice on Sundays. At left back, you know, I've gone with Ben Chilwell at left back, simply because, again, as Joe actually rightly mentioned, we haven't seen enough of Telles in the Premier League yet to kind of make a kind of fair judgment to put him in here. And again, like, Ben Chilwell has scored a goal for Chelsea, and, you know, he's done, you know, considerably well since he's got into the team. So look, I think Ben Chilwell gets in there by default. Again, I've gone with a midfield three, so I've gone with N'Golo Kante at holding midfield. I think Kante on his day, lads, is the best defensive midfielder in the league. Like, he's just unbelievable. He's just a machine. Like, I've had the pleasure of watching N'Golo Kante play in person, and like, you know, I suppose from watching it from the stands, just to see how he covers distance and how he kind of reads the game and kind of snuffs out trouble is unbelievable. Now, look, I suppose not luckily, but sadly that was against Man United in the FA Cup final in 2018. I had the pleasure of going to the game, and to see N'Golo Kante that game, he was just everywhere. He was just, and to see how the engine that he has in midfield and how he breaks up play, it's no wonder Paul Pogba excels when he plays for France, because he doesn't have to do a tap in the midfield defensively. Do you know what I mean? You can see the job that Kante does. So again, look, he gets in here as my holding midfielder. My two attacking midfielders in the pivot are Bruno Fernandez and Kai Havertz. Now, Shane Dowley, who's a regular on this channel, is going to come at me hard now for not putting Paul Pogba in this team. You know, he's a massive fan of Pogba, and rightly so. Like, he's a fantastic footballer. But for me, Bruno Fernandez, again, he's been since he's come in January, he's been Manchester United's most consistent player. He's always contributing to the team. And again, with N'Golo Kante in this team, Bruno Fernandez doesn't have to do all the hard running, the hard yards that he seems to be doing lately. He can get on the ball and be creative in this team. I think Bruno Fernandez, he's just, look, what more can I say about him that anyone else hasn't said? Like, he's a great player. Besides the fact he's a very good penalty taker as well, you know, bar the exception. Was one of the kind of miss he had lately, but look, everyone has their downfalls now and again. And again, Kai Havertz, again, like, fantastic player for Leverkusen last season. Like, he came with a sizable price tag, but you can see in these couple of games now he's starting to turn up the heat. Now he's playing in his proper position. And again, in a midfield pivot with Fernandez, I think that just be devastating. And my front three, I originally had Martial as a striker, but I forgot the criteria that if they're suspended, he can't make this 11. So sadly, Martial is not my striker. So I have Timo Werner up front. And Joe, again, look, against Southampton, he showed that he's devastating up front. He has a lot of pace. So he can run in behind. He can take on a player. He's kind of all the attributes of a good number 9. So I have Timo Werner in there. I have Christian Pulisic on the right-hand side. Again, look, Christian Pulisic at the end, after the lockdown last season, he was just unbelievable. He was so good for Chelsea, and he's a player who I think, if Chelsea had him at the start of the season, he didn't have his injury problems last season, they wouldn't have been scraping top 4 like they did last season. They would have been, I think, maybe about 6-7 points better off in some games if they had his contribution to the team. So I think Christian Pulisic is a player that definitely makes this 11. And on the left, I've kept this man for last because not only his quality on the pitch, but his quality on the pitch, but his quality off the pitch as well. Marcus Rashford, MBE. look, he's a fantastic footballer, fantastic human being, and what he's doing outside of football for all them young kids, when the government aren't doing a tap for him, is unbelievable, and it's just a credit to himself. And I'm proud to say that he's a player for our football club.
Not a bad side. You're going for the Lampard kind of the 1 DM, two attacking mids and that, like.
Yeah.
So basically, my team, I wanted to go with a 4-3-3 like Keane, but the fact that I don't like Pulisic playing off the right, or I'm not sure how good Rashford is off the right, I went for a diamond. So like you have your 4-1-2-1-2. So in goal, I think it's hard to argue with you with the Gea. Like, get a bit down the line now, I might have a bigger case for Mendy to win, but like it's a small sample size, so I think it's fair enough to be putting the Hay in off of recent performances and what he's done. Like I said, I prefer Henderson, but I can't be putting him in when he's not really playing many games. So on the left of the defence, I've gone with Ben Chilwell. I'm actually been very surprised with how Chilwell has played for Chelsea so far. I kind of doubted him when they signed him first and that, but he's actually been so good in any games he's played so far. And if you're going to go for a back four, I think Chilwell suits that role more than the Tellez. And the way I see it, like when Chilwell's fit, he starts over Shaw for England every time. So like other managers see it as well. I know Southgate's not the greatest of managers, but other managers see it as well. So I have Thiago Silva as one of the centre backs. I think he's going to bring that. He'll bring the experience to the team, and he still looks after himself very well. Still keeping fit. And my other centre back is going to be the very controversial pick because he hasn't played too much this year, but I think he's Chelsea's best centre back, second best centre back overall, and I can't pick a United centre back that I think is better. Like, I haven't seen Twanzebe play, but I've gone for Fikayo Tomori. I think he'd add that pace, and he's a bit of football in him as well to play with Thiago Silva there. And because my midfield is fairly attacking, I've gone with Wan-Bissaka at right back. If I had more cover, like say Liverpool, the way they play at midfield, where you have your Henderson, Fabinho, and that, I'd be looking to fit in the two more attacking fullbacks and fitting James in there. But I'd be happy to go with Wan-Bissaka with this team to provide a bit of extra cover. Now the 1 DM, I originally wanted to put Kovacic in it over Kante. I just think the football will be more free flowing. I didn't put him in, but I wanted to. But the fact that my two other centre mids are fairly attacking, I threw Kante in, covers a lot of ground, he'll break up a lot of play there. I just don't know if he's disciplined enough. Like when you watch him playing with Chelsea, like he's not disciplined enough to stay and like sit back, and like he always runs forward, loses position and stuff. But in this now, he's probably the most suited out of all the options that are there, because there's not many. Like there's not a top DM. I don't think between the two teams. I think Kante is more of a box to box. So the two centre mids, if I went for overall ability, I'd Pogba be in my team straight away, but just off the way he's played since he came to United, I'll have Bruno Fernandez in there. He actually does a lot of running off the ball, a lot of work as well. He'd fit in there.
Shane's going to kill the two of us, boy. I'm telling you now, he's going to be at us in that group chat later on.
I know, I love Pogba, like, but just the way he's come back. I know he was sick in the summer with COVID and that, but the way he's come back towards how Bruno has come back, Bruno's just like he's played very well. And then I would have Havertz as the other centre mid. Obviously, I'm the biggest Havertz fanboy there is, having the back of the jersey there, but I just think he's just exceptional. And he is so good at arriving late in the box, and like when Werner or whatever is pulling wide, Havertz is always there centrally. Wins a lot of aerial duels as well, knocks down a lot of ball. You'd be surprised with that. So they're the two centre mids, and then the tip of the diamond, I have Christian Pulisic. Played there once or twice for Chelsea, and he was devastating when he played there. I'd love to fit him out on the left, but I haven't gone with wingers because of the personnel there. If Martial was fit, maybe I would have went for that. And then playing with the two strikers, which actually suited Werner when he's playing with Leipzig, I've gone with Werner and Rashford. A lot of pace up there. Two of them can play off each other, and they have a lot of creativity behind them. So that would be my combined 11. The Tomori now is a bit of a controversial selection, like, but I think talent-wise, he gets slots right in there. So basically, like we picked our kind of like our dream 11s out of the two teams. Now it's time to get more real. What would you expect the Manchester United lineup to be tomorrow against Chelsea? I'll go to you first, Keane. What would you think is going to happen? What way will Ole set it up?
Well, I think we're going 3-5-2 anyway. I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to go 3-5-2 tomorrow. It's tried and tested last season in the games we played against Chelsea, so I think 3-5-2 will be the formation again tomorrow. Dav De Gea in goal again. I don't think he's going to drop De Gea tomorrow. Aaron Wan-Bissaka right wing back. I think Maguire. He's still carrying a knock, so I don't think he'll start tomorrow. Well, that's more hope than expectation. So I'm going to go with Tuanzebe. I'm going to go Victor Lindelof, and I'm going to go Luke Shaw as left centre back. I'm going to go Alex Telles again at left wing back. Because look, his delivery, that's something I haven't mentioned here, but his delivery the other night was exceptional. I think him at left wing back providing crosses in to who I think is going to start up front tomorrow, I think could be key. My three midfielders tomorrow, I'm going to go with the same midfield three that started against PSG. Because I think Chelsea will go with a very attacking midfield three, and if we play with Paul Pogba like we've seen against Tottenham, against a team who are going to press us high, I think we'll be in trouble. So I've gone with McTominay, I've gone with Fred, and I've gone with Bruno Fernandez as the attacking midfielder. Again, with McTominay and Fred there, Bruno doesn't have to do all the dirty work that he's been doing recently since Pogba doesn't pull his weight. So I'm going to go with McTominay, Fred, and Bruno as midfield three. And up front, I've gone with Marcus Rashford and Edison Cavani up front.
Yeah, and you're on with the crosses. I was thinking you're on with Cavani in the head.
Yeah.
So, Joe, how do you think United are going to line up?
Yeah, I'm similar to Keane. I think obviously that's pretty much an unchanged team from Keane there, apart from the enforced change, obviously, of Cavani coming in for Martial. I'm not sure Cavani will start. I think he will feature in the game. I could see him maybe coming on last half an hour, maybe last 20 minutes, something like that, depending on the situation of the game as well, if we need a goal or something like that. But I think he's spot on. I think as long as this team's pulled up okay from the game on Tuesday night, I think why would you make too many changes? That was a well-drilled performance against a team that is probably going to play in a similar way to what Chelsea are. You know what I mean? They only really know one way. You're going to come at us. I mean, although you would like, from your point of view, Frank needs to take some learnings from the game last season and, the first game of the season, because actually you guys, especially the first half, were miles the better team. But you were like picked off so many times and so easily with the United counter-attack. I just can't. I'm just thinking surely Frank's going to have learned from that, obviously, and he will have to make one. I can't remember who your midfield probably was for that game. Maybe Kovacic played, and that's one of the reasons, like you said, obviously, they were probably a bit more open in midfield. He just loses his position from time to time. I know Tammy played up front and he missed a couple of good opportunities before we scored the first goal. But then once we scored the first goal, we just picked you off. So Frank has to look at that and look where that went wrong, because when you analyse that game back from last year, there's no way United should have won that 4-0. It wasn't a 4-0 performance at all, but in the way that they scored the goals, it was just too easy, some of them. So, but I think I like that team that set up for the same reasons as Keane said, our team. McTominay, Fred, for some reason, I don't really rate either of those two players, but when they play together, they seem to complement each other well as a pivot. It's strange. I mean, when you put McTominay at the side of Matic or Fred at the side of Matic, they're not the same players. I don't know. It's weird. It's strange. But what I liked about Fred on Tuesday night is every time he got the ball, he was looking for Bruno, and that was nice to see, actually progressing the attack, taking the ball forward. The only place I differ with Keane is that, like I say, up front. But then again, it could be a difficult one for Ollie, because he obviously hasn't got Martial because he's not fit. He's suspended. He's not available. But what's the situation with Greenwood right now? Obviously, Solskjaer's playing that down. He's saying that obviously there isn't an issue there, disciplinary. He did say in midweek that he's got a niggle. So whatever you believe, whether it's a niggle or the disciplinary, is he ready to bring him back in? Because actually, I think he could play well as a 2 with Rashford as a sort of split striker.
Yeah.
But if not, you could see him go something like Dan James. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not Dan James' biggest fan, but I think maybe playing as a split striker against a team like Chelsea, who are not really going to play low block, they're going to come on to us.
Yeah.
Look to exploit that with Dan James. Obviously, that worked well in the first game of the season. Obviously, Dan James came on in that one and scored his first goal, didn't he, for United? I think the 4th goal of the game. So he may go Dan James if he doesn't feel like he's ready to bring Mason Greenwood in. But Cavani's there, he's an option, but I think it would be a big decision to start someone like Cavani in a game of this sort of magnitude. But Cavani will definitely play some part.
Yeah, no, I have a feeling he'll come off the bench. Just depend on he has been training with a week or two now, is it?
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks, yeah. I think he will get he's off the bench, but it won't be just for a little cameo. He'll get a bit of time. So the Chelsea 11, I think, obviously Mendy is going to start in goal. Left back, you're going to have Chilwell. You're going to have Silva and Zuma, because I think Lampard's one are going to keep a bit of consistency. The two of them started together. Palace kept a clean sheet, and they kept a clean sheet at Sevilla. I think they only conceded 2 shots on target. And then right back, I think Reece James is going to be dropped for tomorrow. I think it's going to be Aspie back in to deal with.
Don't say that. I've Reece James in fantasy football.
No, I think he's going to be putting Aspie in there because Reece James played during the week and he rested Azpilicueta. So I think he's going to be brought in for the big game. Then the centre mids, I think he's going to have Kante in there. And against a team like Liverpool that are going to be in your face the whole time, you'd have Kovacic in there. But I think Lampard is going to think United are going to set up with the 3 at the back tomorrow. They might try and hit us on the counter and that. So I think Jorginho will be in there alongside Kante. Then you're going to have your Havertz then in a cam, kind of pushing forward, running off the striker. I think out on the left you're going to have Christian Pulisic, and then on the right again, I know it's not my favourite, but because Telles could be playing left wing back, doing a lot of attacking, I think Lampard could slip Mount in right wing again. He does a lot of cover.
Jack Clemson's adopted son.
Yeah, Mount does obviously I don't see him as a winger. I think he's a number 8, but when he's on the wing, the one thing he does do is put in a shift, does a lot of work. I think Lampard could be deploying him out on the right to kind of track Telles, and actually knows he's going to be going on that wing if he's playing left wing back. And then I think you're going to see Timo Werner up front then as well. So it's going to stick to the same 4-2-3-1, but the only changes from midweek, you're going to have Azpilicueta coming in at right back for Reece James. And I think Pulisic will be on the left rather than the right, and Mount will go out on the right. And then you'll have your Ziyech will be getting the same amount of time, I say, as a Cavani, like a half an hour. He'll be coming on, and you'll have 1 or 2 subs coming in. But I think Lampard's going to be setting up to play against 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. I think he's going to say Ole's going to stick with that, like he did against PSG. Got a good result out of it. Why would you change something that's going to be winning your games? And like you said, he played twice against Chelsea last year, or 3 times with 3 at the back. I think he did in the FA Cup finals. I know that didn't work as well, but I think he might stick to the 3 at the back against Chelsea with the 2 wing backs. So, given your lineups and that, and how you think Ole is going to set up, one last thing we're going to talk about in the show is what are your score predictions going to be for tomorrow? What way do you see the game going? I'll go to you first, Joe, if you want to.
Joe, you're on mute.
I'm good at that. If you watch me on other shows, I'm quite good at talking with the mute button on. Don't worry, nothing new there. Yeah, I think for me... Oh, sorry, am I making noise there? Yeah, I think for me... I want to be like you, Sean. I want to think that both teams can put in a professional performance, and maybe it could be an entertaining, tight game, but another part of me wants to see goals because, you do as a football fan, but obviously goals in your favour. And I just think it all depends on the formation. It's so tough to call. But I'm going to go with the will be goals, and I'm going to say something like 3-2, and I'm going to go just in our favour. I think I can see it being 2-2, and someone like Cavani coming off the bench and getting a winner or something like that. That'll do for me, actually. That'll be quite nice. But, yeah, I think there will be goals for some reason. I'm not sure. But again, that's more down to the fact that how I feel both teams will line up.
Yeah. No, it might be too far wrong with the goals. Like, it could either way. Like you said, you could have a team shutting out, or you could have both teams are scoring goals galore. Yeah. Keane, how do you feel about the match tomorrow?
I think we get the win tomorrow. I think Chelsea, look, they are playing well. United are starting to come back as well. We're starting to play well in the last couple of games. Again, I'm going to go Manchester United 2-1 win tomorrow. And I'm going to go with the winner scored by Bruno Fernandez by a penalty.
I always feel that's not a great prediction. It's a bit too obvious these days, isn't it? Really,
I do this on every penalty. I do this on every single show I'm on, whether it's All for United, whether it's this channel or Adam's channel. I always say this because it boils so much piss. It's unbelievable.
So I'm fairly confident with Chelsea tomorrow. I think Chelsea's downfall last year, like you said, and we got picked off, was the fact that when we couldn't sign any players. I just don't think the quality was there in the forward line. Chelsea created so many chances last year. I think they had more shots, more chances than Liverpool did last year, and still only came out with a certain of the goals. I think that's what Chelsea fell short. And this year, I think they could be a bit more clinical in what they have. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Chelsea, and I'm going to go for one of the United centre backs to be sent off. Last man tackle on Timo Werner.
Oh no, I know who you're talking about.
No, I'm not even on about Maguire because Maguire can't catch Werner to pull him down. I got to go for a Tuanzebe.
Oh, you're.
I'll tell you what, I hope we see that a bit tomorrow because that is some foot race, to be honest. I mean, one thing I learned about Tuanzebe on Tuesday night is he is quick. There was a situation where, again, you've got to consider he's not played for 10 months. Situation where he was side by side with Mbappe and and I mean, Mbappe is probably one of the quickest forwards in the world, so that's really impressive. And I think that's why long term, if he can prove his fitness, if United are going to play four at the back and they're insistent on getting Maguire in the team, he's 80 million, he captain. Tuanzebe is the perfect partner for Maguire because he needs that pace.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. It's just the bold prediction. I think red card for someone last ditch tackle on Timo Werner and Chelsea to get a 2-1 win. So all of yours will be definitely back with more content on the London show soon enough. Keane will keep you posted on the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. Guys, do any want to shout out your handles there for your social media to anyone that's viewing?
Joe, do you want to shout yourself?
Yeah, it's on the screen there, Joe. FatBoySlim886. Give me a follow. I will be tweeting more. I'm on various channels doing lots of work, so do watch out for it. Do some great shows with some great people, including you guys. So thanks for having me on today. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks a million, Joe, for coming on. Go on, Keane.
And look, you can follow me at Keane_Franey on Twitter if you want to get all your Bruno Fernandez propaganda. Do check me out over there. And then look, as always, do follow the @Weekly Armchair as well on Twitter. That's our Twitter handle. And as always, lads, do subscribe to the channel @Weekly Armchair Kickoff because look, I know we're gone a bit over time now, but I'm actually jumping off this and going straight onto our MMA show. We're talking about UFC 254 tonight, so that'll be released later on tonight. And also, I do have a guest for our combat sports show, a very noteworthy guest coming on in the next week or so. So do stay tuned for that because it's our biggest guest yet on the channel. So
is it Conor McGregor, Keane? Is it Conor McGregor?
No. It's not him. It's not him. Contrary to popular belief, it's not him. But it's our biggest guest so far on our combat sports show. So do tune in because I'm going to announce that very soon because we do have that ready to go. So we just have to get the time sorted out for that one. So that'll be our next combat sports show. And Tim just said there, I love this, man. 2-1 United, Bruno penalty with the help of VAR for the winner. Keane special. Tim, you know the story, pal. That is the best way to win every game. Look, again, as I said, it just boils the piss of so many fans. It's unbelievable.
All right, that's perfect, guys. Perfect. If any of the viewers watching, make sure to tune into the MMA show that Keane's about to pop onto there now. Make sure you tune in and get that watch. It's always great content. Thanks a million for coming on, guys, tonight.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thanks a million. Come on, lads. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Goodbye. See you guys.